Ketoisus. So, Iboy Zayma Beishishol the Kababa via Kedushapakus mi Baskimo Shanim. So we have it's a sveka. The whole you're able to ask because it's a she's mutter because it's a sveka. But we have two cases where it's not a sveka, and therefore she's also because it's with an Ish Yisrael that a Pesach Pesuach will also her without a sveka. So again, the case where he's Shavia Nafshe, just get clear, he's Shavia Nafshe Chatika da Asura in this case. If it's not this case and it's a Sveka, then he's not believed. He says Pesach Pasuach against the Sveka, so he has no ne'emonos. Even for himself, he's no ne'emonos because the Sveka takes away from his believability, and therefore he's not ne'emon against the Sveka. But here, in the case of where the father makabels the kedusha when it's under 3, so therefore now he has the ability to shavi nafshe chatichad surah because it's only one suffix. So Tosis says, so it's still a sveka. Suffix ba'oinus, suffix ba'rotz. So if it's ba'oinus, so then she's mutter to him. So we always have to go in the case of when it's still ulcer. So suffix ba'rotz, and it would be that it's ulcer. But even if you want to say that she's also, so Tosis is clearly poskening, that seems to take the double poshut, that a pito ketana is oinus. So even if she had rotzun while she was a ketana, then that ketana that would be oinus. And since it would be oinus, we have a sveka. So, Sadik Parotzun would be Pitoy, that some guy asked her to come away with her, and she agreed. But her agreeing, since it happened while she was a katana, would be a oines, and since it's an oines, so therefore she's still motachum. So the Pitoy of the katana is oines. So even though it happened before she was a katana, so therefore it would be. She would still be motachum. So there's a svek. So Tosis' answer is Ishlam D'Shem Oines Chadhu. So you want to say that it's two oinuses. I don't know if I agree with you at this point in the Havmin, because we're saying that one side is that she's also because it's rotzen. It says no, but even if it's rotzen, she's still oinus. So we have two cases. We only have the rotzen itself is split up into two. The rotzen is split up into before she's a Bulgaris or a Naira, and after that she's a Naira. So before a Naira and after a Naira. So when she's a Katana, that Pita of a Katana is Oines. So the Rotzon, the fact of being a Rotzon is not enough to answer her. There needs to be has to be a Rotzon after the fact of when she's a Godel.
Yeah, as in you might have thought because it's Ratzon that it's a different situation, but we're saying because she is Katana, even with Ratzon, it's still Onus.
She's still so therefore she's still Mutter, even though it's Ratzon, it's still Mutter.
Right. But you might have thought not like that, which is why we brought.
Well, that's I don't know what that means. You might have thought not like that. That's Tosis asking in the question, and now he says the answer Shem Oines Chadhu. I don't know what that means. Oines is it's all one oines. Maybe that's what Max is touching on. That it's just all oines. That the pizza of a katana is oines, and therefore, but then you know I have this ikasvek sveik, and there's a big problem with what Max is saying. We'll have to come on to that later. It's going to be a question on the crazy placey, but we'll have to we'll see. But the suffix rotzon is oines.
It's the same suffix you did malacha, suffix you didn't do malacha. Oh, it's a sveik sveika because there's two sveik. It's like it doesn't. Right?
No, that's one. That's one suffix. No, because if you have suffix here was yontiv, so it wasn't yontiv, and even if it was yontiv, maybe it wasn't a malacha.
Oh, that's a different edition. That's a sveik sveika.
What? Why? But it's the same.
No,
No, but there was no malacha. If I did it on a weekday, it's not a malacha. So obviously, I didn't do a malacha. Shame
This is
oinus.
one level of the
Shame
Sfeik
oinus. Shame oinus chadhu. Now, it's difficult to know where to start here. I was going to start with the Rivash, but I think really got to start with the Rebbe Kiveger. This is a Rebbe Kiveger for the ages. Let me sit over and say, Akati Svek Sveka Boinus, Safik Barotzim, the Safik Ashi Katana, Pito Katana Oinus. Ishlan Shem Oinus Chadhu. Just quoting the Toisus there. But Kavanas, Divrei Toisus. Okay, well, you know, obviously that's what we all want to know. What the hell is Toisus saying? The Shem Oinus Chadhu, Nelchuka Ha Meforshim, Im Kavanasam. What? So we have, he brings two stadim as to what Toisus is saying here. Given the Hakol Mitzad Heter Oinusu. Everything is all coming from oines, so it's only one side. It's all oines. So really, this is what Max is saying. Mali oines there, mali oines the katnos. It's all the same oines. Mali oines there, mali oines acher. It's all oines. V'gam ein echad matir yoter mechaveru. So this idea, so one doesn't matter more than his friend. So here the shach brings the idea. The hatam has safek ha'achron ein a moisif u'matir klum. So we have that when you have a sveka, according again, this is the first teretz of the Rebbe Kiveger, which is what we're going to call it. So in this, there has to be a halachic nafka mina between the two stadim. So you have a there has to be a halachic nafkin between this suffix and that suffix. So I spoke about a suffix before of I went to Yes Planet, which isn't very kosher during Pesach, and the kids bought a Fanta, and I didn't check if the Fanta was kosher to Pesach before we bought it. So do I need to check it? Because maybe it has a hechsher Pesach on it, maybe it doesn't have a kosher Pesach on it. And even if it doesn't have a kosher Pesach, maybe tak it's kosher Pesach anyway, because they don't put chametz into Fanta, so it may be kosher anyway. So do I even have to check the hechsher because it's a fake? So I said this to someone, and he told me, oh, this Tosfos says it's all shame kashrus chadhu. Now that answer is more throwing off the point as opposed to, because he's not really answering anything by saying that. He's taking Tosfos out of context and using him, I think, in an illegal manner. Because really you have to understand what that Tosfos, it's not shame kashrus chadhu. That's not really the point here. But the Shach's bringing up that there has to be there has to be a heter or an is, there has to be a halachic nafka mina in each step of the sveka. So in Tosfos, and again we'll probably see this, safek ba'oines, safek ba'rotzen. So there, obviously, if it's oines, she's aser to the she's mutter to the husband if it's not a kohen, and safek ba'rotzen, she's aser. But now here, into the ba'rotzen, so safek kashehi katana pito katana oinesu. Does that oines aser any more than that oines? Is it a different, or is there a halachic nafkamina between them? So what he's saying, so what the Rebbe Kiveger is saying, that since there's no halachic nafkamina between the two oinsim, therefore it's all one. So yoter min rishon, v'ken rishon yoter min achron. So each one has to change. You have two stadim, so that you have once your oines versus rotzon, so there's a halachic nafkamina. But in the second one, whether you're oines because you're a katana or you're oines because you're a gedola, there's no halachic nafkamina there. Shame oines. That's one oines there. So ein echad matir yoter mechaveru. Again, the idea that there has to be a halachic nafkamina between them. So in my case of having a hechsher, is there a nafkamina between having a kosher for Pesach and having a not kosher for Pesach? Is there a nafkamina there? So yes. And is there a nafkamina between being kosher and not being kosher, like that the factory added it in? So that you have a difference between like being kosher and you have a difference between kosher to Pesach. So even though, like in our case, it may not make a difference, there is an afkamina between two sveikas. Or the kevanosam harei svek sveka she'ena mit hapech. So now, this is the second way that Rabbi Akiva is going, and the Rivash says that Umasha Amru she'enu tarti sveikas afilu lifnei hechenu hu kafia klal shemashu lanu atoisus. So Rivash is saying that this is what Toisus holds. But harbe mekaymis v'tama, not even one place, all over the Tama, this is what Toisus holds. Ein nikros sveik sveika ele kashehem shtei sveikas b'chol tzad. That's a mit hapech. Ben she nikach aseveka echod rishon or acher. So whatever way you start, it has to work both ways. Could go on safek sharetz, shavek separdei, sharetz safek naga, safek lo naga, nikach rishon safek naga nishar safek. We want to get in. So there's the classic case of a. So in our case, if we go back to the Mishnah, what's our case? Our case is maybe the bia was before kedushin, and even if you want to say, so therefore she's mutter. But even if the bia was after kedushin, maybe it's oines, and therefore we have two ways to find that she's mutter. Yeah, even if you want to take before the kedushin, but even if it's after kedushin and she's also, you could still find a heter in the isser where she's oines. Now let's mehapech that's stadin. We have oines and rotzon. So maybe she's ba'oines and she's mutter, but even if you want to say she's barotzon, maybe it was before kedushin. So there you have a svek sveka mehapech. You can start in both ways, because again, the way that svek sveka works is that you find the heter, and then, but even if you want to say it's the isser side, there's still a heter you can find in the isser. So whichever way you start, whether it's before or after, it's tachtav or lo tachtav, there's a heter, and if you start with tachtav, you find the heter in the oines. You start with oines, you find the heter in the tachtav. So it's a svek sveka hamehapeches. So there's a classic case in is it Nida? Cholin. So the case here is in Cholin Nun Gimel. So Ari shenichnes lebeina shvarim. So our issue is that the Ari is entering against the shvarim. The nimsa tziporim begavo shel echod mehen. So you find a nail on the back of one of the cows. So you don't have a chashash, maybe the Ari is darso. Why not? Because the roiv aris are darsin, umiyatum ein darsin v'kol daris ein sefarto nish matet. So since the nail of a lion doesn't come out, therefore you're not really expecting it. So since why is it in its back? You say that the animal, the shore, was rubbing itself against the kotel, was rubbing itself against the wall. So we have a nail in the back of an animal, and we're saying it's a svek sveka, and therefore the animal is mutter. The Gemara here doesn't speak out as a svek sveka at this point of the Gemara anyway. But we have safek that the lion went in, safek he didn't go in, and even if he went in, then maybe he didn't doris. Doris will cause a treifa in the animal. Doris will be he's attacking. He's like he's jumping on the cow and attacking the cow. So how does this work the other way? So the other way would be maybe he was doris. Maybe he wasn't doris. So not being doris will make him kosher. And even if you say he was doris, maybe he never entered. That doesn't make any sense at all. How could he be doris if he never entered? All the shores are in the so that's a svek sveka that is einu mitapechet. Now the Gemara poskens that this is mutter, and it's a svek sveka that einu mitapechet. So we posking about it's going to be a problem for Tosis. Now let's have a look here in the Tosis. Is this Tosis mehepechet or not? Safek ba'oines, safek ba'rotzon, emtis le'ba'rotzon, safek ishi ketana b'pito ketana oines hu. So that's how you go one way. We start with oines. So now let's go with maybe she was a katana when there was maybe she was a katana when it happened, and even if you want to say that she was a gedola. Maybe he was honest. Well, the way I'm saying it, then it is mehapech. When you say once it's if she's a katana, then how can you have rotzon and oinus? Same types of barotzon. So because she katana, pita katana oinusu. So maybe that she was a katana, so therefore she would be mutter. But if you want to say that she's a gedola, an aser, maybe we still oinus. So it really is like this. So sort of, if she was a katana, so then she's mutter. But maybe she was a gedola. But if you want to say she's a gedola, maybe it's barotzon. So now you want to say that, okay, so now let's mehapechet. Maybe it's oines. And if you want to say even if it's barotzon, so then what? So then maybe she's a katana. There is no rotzon with the katana. So therefore it's not a svek a mehapechet. It only works if you start off with a katana or a gedola. And if you start off with oines or rotzon, there's no such thing as katana barotzon. So therefore, when Tosfos says shem oines chadhu, that means it's not a svek a mehapechet. So back in the Rebbe Akiva Iger. So this is the second teretz. The kavanos from David svek ein mehapech. V'em natchil sad oines shuv efshar loimer im titzig loimer. So if you start with oines, Tosfos checked us because he starts off with oines, but he's not really doing a svek there. Shuv efshar loimer im titzig loimer barotzon shem a katana. It's even to say it's a rotzon, maybe she's a katana, because there is no rotzon with katana. Deim hu barotzon efshar he bekatnos. So they're the two tzads that Rebbe Akiva Iger is saying, that Tosfos is saying the shem oines chadhu. The first one is that there's no chalak nafkamina between the two svekas, and therefore you can just bring up as many svekas as you want, but there has to be a halak nafkamina between the svekas in order to have it a sveka. Or the second one is that it has to be a sveka mehapech, and this is not a sveka mehapech. That's the second test. But it needs that daiti. We have to go like the first one, and we're not going like the second one. Because the chayre there's a kasha on this idea of sveka. Why do you need to have it less than 3? So I'll explain what's going on outside. Since in this second half, Tosfos is saying the shem oines chadhu imtis lebarotzon safek kashihi katana pito katana oinesu. Therefore, if the shem oines chadhu is saying that it is, and you need a svek mehapechet. So let's go like this. Instead of saying that the father makabel the father kedushin pachas mi bas gimel, say that she received a pachas while she was a katana between 3 and 12. You can have it the whole time there, because once you have the whole idea, this whole tzad that Tosfos has here, since there's no oinus for a katana, I don't need less than bas 3. I can have a katana in there, and then you'll never have a svek mehapechet, because the second oinus you're never going to have. You don't have, even if it's over 3. It was once you have even if it is a pesach pesuach, the problem with under 3 is that she'll get her pesach, she'll be sosum, she'll get her basulim back. After 3, under 12, it doesn't matter if she doesn't have basulim, we'll still have a good sveka, because we can never mehapechet, because you can never have the rotzon when she's less than 3. So therefore, if the sveka is correct, so therefore the Gemara should never have said less than 3, it should have said less than 12. That's going to be that's Rebbe Akiva Iger's on sveka. So here he's going to say, so why do we need to have under 3? Ha, kol shekabla kedusha, but oida katana, all the time she's under 12. It's masfei to lavi sex veka. It's enough. That's not sex veka. Te meno tachtav. If she did it before they got married. Memela have hazanos but oida katana. Now again, if she's under 3, you don't have this. You don't have the idea of tachtav because it has to be tachtav. You can never have a state. If the father makabel kedushin before she's 3, you can never have a state of where. So once she has a pesach pesuach, then for sure it was tachtav. Now we're changing the case and saying that she got it when she got kedushin when she was 10. She could have a tachtav. The reason that she has a pesach pesuach is 2 reasons. One is because she did it before she was 10, and when she was after 10 and under 12. So. It's a 6 if it's not tachtav, memela have has no oida katana. So then, for sure, she's still a katana. If it was before she was married, v'shem oines chadhu, and it's one oines, i.e. that it's a sveikas that's eno mechapechet, and therefore it's she'd still be therefore she'd be aser. Because it's just one suffix as to whether she had a tachtav or lo tachtav. Ach ze eno tedavke ima oines mikoch pitoi katana oines. If the oines is coming from being the pitoi of the katana, it's an oines. Az amrinan dehakol chadhu. Then we say it's a kol chadhu. That's what Tosis. That's Rabbi Kiveger's answer, that it has to be coming with no halachic nafkaminas. If there's another heter from her being not tachtav, so according to Rabbi Kiveger's territory, you have to have no halachic nafkamina between them. It wouldn't be called oines chadhu. V'gam echod matir yoter mechavero de'eno. So one side is more than the other. De'eno tachtav moteres lekoyen. Because if she was Eino Tachtav, she'd be mutter to a Kohen. Because if she had the, so again, the guy she gets married to is a Yisrael. The Yisrael is only also to her if she was Barotza. But if she was Oines as a Katan, let's say she was 9 and she was Oines. So she was Oines there. Now she'd be mutter to a Kohen after the marriage that she's in now, as long as the guy dies. But if she was Oines while she was married, she's also to the Kohen even after the guy dies. So therefore, being honest beforehand or being honest after she got married, there's two sugs of honest there. There's different halachic nafkaminas as to how that works, and therefore, it's not called shem honest chadhu, but it would be if we were looking for a sveka mehapechet. Again, just to repeat that, if the girl is 9 years old, she is honest, she's ma'anis, and she has bia. She's kosher to a Kohen. She now at 10 marries Yisrael. Now, if that Israel dies, now she can still go marry the Kohen. But if she's married to A, and then has Oines during that marriage, she's now also to the Kohen. So therefore, that act of Oines, whether it happened beforehand or whether it happened after she was 10 and makabelled she was 10 and she makabelled the kedushin. So now there's an afkamina between those two, where she was oines at 9 or oines at 11. But if it's a svek and mechapechet, there's no nafkamina between them. Therefore, according to Rabbi Kiveger's way that he's learning, since it's a halakha nafkamina, you can't say it's oines chadhu, and therefore you have to say it's under 3. You can't say that it's under 12. Because there's a halakha nafkamina between the oinsin, and therefore it's not oines chadhu. However, according to those who hold, like the Rivash and the Kretzi and Placey, who brings the Rivash, that has to be a sveka mehapechet. So there, it would still. There's no reason for the Gemara to say 3. It should have said 12. So again here, Rabbi Kiva has to say kusha to Alman. She has to become a widow from the Yisrael who married her, because that's the case right now. And the guy's coming and saying Pesach B'suach, he's going to divorce her soon, so he better die soon before he divorces her, so she's still kosher to a Kohen. It's good according to my way. About derech base, yishar hakushia degam bekabbalah kedushin boda katana eno met hapecha. So to ef sharloimer and to b'slim rotzon shema eno tachtav. You can't say that if you want to say rotzon, maybe it wasn't tachtav. Because if it was rotzon, maybe it was before they got married. Daha im haye barotzon bevara haye tachtav. Daha mokodem nezeh haye takatana velo haye barotzon. So once you have the rotzon, therefore it would have to be a case of Gadol, and since the only time that it could have been not tachtav would have been as a katana, so therefore it says svek sveka eno mehapechet. Ula poiskim de boy svek sveka mehapech. So how are we going to answer this up for those who hold the svek sveka eno mehapechet? Be'emes ye moichet de lo kaimelam pito katana oines kamash k'tas b'Rambam. So Rambam holds that pito katana is not oines. So that what Tosis brings as a pito katana is oines. And he says you can't learn that pshat in Tosis, because Tosis holds that pito katana is oines, and not like the Rambam. And Tosis has a girsa of under 3, not under 12. So Tosis can't learn it, so you can't learn that out in the Tosis, but they can learn themselves. But the Tosis yemuchach de lo boi svek mehapech v'hu nach ubar l'chayra. So Rabbi Kiva is machria. A Tosis does not hold of svek mehapech. So many people in the Rivash and brought down crazy place in the Shach will say you need a svek mehapech. And here Rabbi Kiva is proving, he's saying that you can't have it in the Tosis. So that's just the first line in Tosis. Now the crazy placey, he's Rabbi Yonis and Eibschitz. He has like two things. He has crazy on the Shulchan Aruch and placey on the Shulchan Aruch. So it's called the crazy and the placey. It's usually just brought together, but they're. He has this. He has a Kontras basis vekas. But in here he brings the idea of so do you need a sveka mehapech, right? So he brings the Rivash Shemet and we need. So there's those who hold that we need mehapech. So the Rosh Mangode Lachronim, the Marit Harech beChavilus Rois Mishasi Posim Delo Beinin mehapech, and the Pri Chadash Yado Mela Yado B'Toisus. So also the Rav Avadia says that most Ruba Achronim don't need Sveka Mehapech, but maybe we'll see something. We'll see a chiluk. Amnam Harava Godel Hakodesh Vator Rebbeinu Menachem Azri Bal Asers Mamaras. Uhu Kachachem Yodua Pesherdaber. He knows that. Im Shnei Svekas Lefichach V'Noyach Lachatzko Bezeh Hasoifa Kamo B'Sheni As Be'inan Met Hapech. So he's going to make. So why are we saying that you need to have a what's the svara behind having a sveka mehapechet? It's very strange to have a sveka that only because I'm starting here, that's why I come out that it's a suffix and it's mutter. But if I started the other way, it'd be also. But machazis, what do you see that you should be starting with this one in order to come out with its mutter? Start this way, come out that it's also. If one way, in some of the states, that one way makes more sense to start this way, as so now we have a nice, and you can go through Kula Torah Kula and all the poiskim and see if this is the golden rule that when you have a sveka mehapechet, that is natural to start one way. Then we hold that you don't need a sveka mehapechet. However, when you don't, where there's no reason to say that it should start one way and start the other. So therefore, we do need a sveka mehapechet. Why? Because you're just making it up. You're making up to start with this way. You should start by this way. Now, if we go back to the case of the lion, that's why I want to bring the case of the lion up. It makes sense to start. Did the lion enter or did the lion not enter? because we only really are danning the shaila. So the cow's walking around with a nail in his back. We want to know if the lion entered or not. Once he entered, now we have a suffix. Well, we still have the suffix to where the nail came from, even if he entered. So there you have a svek sveka, even though it doesn't go the other way. Maybe he has a nail in his back. Or maybe he didn't. Maybe the lion didn't enter. Well, then how did the lion's nail get in his back if he didn't enter? So it doesn't mehapecha. But since in that way that there's a clear way that the first you want to clear the shaila as to whether the lion entered or not. Once you clear the shaila whether the lion entered, now we go on the other side. So therefore, there's a clear one way to start. Now the way that this gets fuzzy is that if you get cornered and say that, so you can answer for Tosis here, and just say that it makes sense to say whether she was a katana or not first. Again, it's blurry. You can blur all the boundaries and have a big machlokas as to whether you can say, when do you say this rule? Does it make sense to start here? Or when does it not make sense? So that makes it very blurry, but that's like a rule in the svek and mehapechet, that again, you want it mehapechet because you're just making up your head to, because you're starting that way. So it could be that everyone needs a svek in that way, but here, since there's no yes, again, you can learn in Tosis that you should start off with is she a katana or is she you should start off with is it suffik or is it rotzen? Sorry, you should start off if she's a katana or if she's a gedoyla. If she's a gedoyla, so then is it rotzen or is it oines? So I think some people say that it's you should clore that child at first as to whether she's a katana or a gedoyla. But again, you can argue on that. So that's yesh loimer the shame oines chadhu maklokas if toisvis here. So this is either Tosis saying I need svek mehapechet, or he's saying that you need a nafkamina in din between the two svekas. And again, someone just comes to you and says, "Oh, it's all one din." Yeah, it's not that simple. That's not what Tosis is saying. But that's the first few lines. Now, here's the cheskes aguf. Cheskes aguf. Okay, really, what Tosis is saying. Yeah, so she's born mutter. The cheskes aguf is that she's born mutter. So therefore, how did she lose this this heter? So let's just say that she is kosher for a kohen. Keneged the suffix. We have a suffix as to whether she was oines or rotzen. So say that since she has the chazaka that she's kosher, so therefore we should keep her kosher. Therefore it's mochrach to say it was oines, and therefore there's no suffix. Yesh leimer the oinsa. Yes, we're saying that it's oines. That the heskes kashrus is saying that it's ba'oines, and it wasn't baratzen. She's a good girl. She was born mutter to everybody. She was born kosher, so therefore she's still kosher. And to say that she became a rasha and did a baratzen is nisht. So therefore she did a ba'oines. So oines has a call. Islay, as we say in Yerushalmi, oinsa yesh lo call. V'hashta delika kala have le rotzen ruba. So now there was no call. Since how do we know there's no call? Because we have a suffix if it was a rotzen or it was oines. So since there's no call, rotzen is roiv. So most women are pitoy, are not. Most of the time they want it. Umiyat aroinis. Right? So again, there's a lot of the Me Too or whatever that is. Is there a call? The miyat aroinis. V'ruba v'chazaka ruba adif. So the roiv is saying that it's a rotzen. The roiv is saying it's rotzen. The miyat is saying that it's oines. Sorry, the roiv is saying that's oines. The chazaka is saying that's oines. Ruba v'chazaka ruba adif. So we explained last time why this is true. And chazaka is not a bearer of anything. Chazaka is how you act in a case of suffek. Whereas a roiv is a birur, and therefore when you have a birur and a had to act, so the birur is actually clarifying things, and therefore the roiv is a chriya here. So now im tema im kain besaf besek sveka nami titaser. So even in the case of svek sveka, if what I'm saying is true, so therefore it comes out that in a svek sveka it should also be also just suffik onis command delaysatami. What are you telling me that she's? How can you say even if it was before, it was after kedushin that she was oinus? That's not a suffik, because the oinus is like it's not there because it's a miut. V'lo nishar eila chad suffik tachtav. It only happened whether it's before kedushin or after kedushin. Ubahal lo shaykh leokmen bechazakas heter k'da prishin. And there we can't go on that. And here we have because the cheskas of guf wins out, so we can't. As he's explained before, the cheskas of guf is adif, so therefore she's born a basula. Since she's born a basula, therefore it happened right now. Good appreciate. V'oimeri, the high rov the barotzon ain't a roiv gomer. That roiv, that it was barotzon, is not a proper roiv. It's not a full roiv. So therefore I can still use it. Eila have mid rabbonin. So that roiv is the rabbonin roiv. The hilkach in this svek shari. But in Mokum Chad Sveka, it's not sure. In the Chashiv Rabbonin and Rotzon Lagabi Yonis roiv. So since it's not a roiv gomer, it's only a roiv for Rabbonin. It'll work in a svek and it doesn't work in a suffix in one suffix in order to make. So what does it mean? Why is a roiv of Rotzon not a roiv gomer? So the Shev Shmaisa, Dalid Perkvav, the Habach, we're going to do this paragraph here. Habach. So there's a case the Tosis brings in Bava, what is it, Sanhedrin? Yeah, we do it in the Bavas, but it's he brings it in Sanhedrin where he sells the cow for radia, and he wanted it for radia, but it wasn't tame enough, so he was going crazy. So he had to be for shchita, and he wanted to mevatel it and say that it's roiv or radia, and therefore I want my money back, and we don't give him the money back. And he said, so Tosis there says, so Tosis says that since we go boser roiv b'din and afoshes, therefore we should go so we should go roiv acher roiv for dini moment. So our claim the roiv l'radi is avini lo chashivi, lo chashiv. So this roiv that people buy for radi is not chashiv. What does it mean? It's not chashiv like that. So roiv nashim in 9 months give birth. So if there's some case that she's approves that, if the guy wasn't available around the 9 months or whatever, let's say the husband goes away and 12 months later she gives birth, so then clearly she's being mizana tachta. When we can kill her over it, how do you know? Because roiv of women give birth in 9 months. They don't give birth in a year. So we can kill her for that. So that's the roiv of women giving birth in 9 months versus the roiv of radia. So what's the difference? The Bach says, "The mishum hachi roivid l'radia lav roiv malia." It's not a great roiv. Lefi shekeneged adam echad shekonin mea shavarim l'radia yesh mea b'nei adam shekonin asara shavarim l'shchita b'ayin sham. It says that you have, so it's not a proper roiv because one guy will buy 100 and 100 people will buy one. So which one's the roiv? So most people buy it, but maybe most, the Bach said, but most shvarim are doing something else. Most people are doing. So again, like let's say most people buy oranges for eating, but most oranges are bought by Tropicana for orange juice. So what? So most people and most oranges, it's two different things. The Kasar Chesig, my brother, was already having a go at him in his Kontras Klalim. Venir lefarish lefi ma shekasav Rambam. So now the Sheshmais is going to go like the Rambam said in Milchamos, Gabe Savlonos. So savlonos is the wedding presents, or people would send money. It's more of a chiyuv. It's like the wedding presents is a chiyuv. To amreinen deruva misavli v'hadri mekachi. So there in the Gemara we're talking about whether do you first get married and then you send the presents, or do you send the presents and then you get married? So there we say that Roiv give the presents first. That's before the kedushin. The Hakshib is came into Ruba Masavli v'Hadri Makshi, since most of them do this to give the presents and then get married. Amai chayshishin lesavlos. Why are we chayshish for the habachol duchta aslin basar Roiv? Why are we chayshish for this that it happened afterwards? That it goes basar the Roiv. Kadav la Rambam zal aval hatam le shaila zu she'ein Roiv zeh duimi le plukta Rabbi Merchachamim the hatam Roiv chiyuv v'tevahu. Over there, when we have a proper roiv, it's a chiyuv and a tever, it's nature. Ve'ef shar eila kol ke'elekain, it has to be that way. Aval kan eino eila minhag upamim harba she'ad noihe keminhag amir. So what we're talking about when it's not a roiv gomer is where it's just a minhag. So the minhag is the sub. Some people give the presents, and even if everyone does it, it's not a teva. It's not machriya something. The roiv is a machriya. So roiv that women give birth in 9 months. No one can choose to do something else. Yes, there's a mir that does something else, but you don't get to choose which way you want to do it. It's a chiyuv, and it's a teva. It's nature, and it's an obligation to go after a roiv. But when you're talking about roivs, it's just minhag and palmim. So you can do whatever hell you want. Therefore, bad malkim iser eishasish hachmaru lachush. So therefore, for the case of eishasish, so they're going after the roiv of the nature, but when you have something, so let's look at Toysis's roiv. Toysis's roiv is most women. Yeah, most women are baratzen and not ba'oines. Now, is that a teva? Is that the nature of women? And it's a chayv, or women or women too. Women can be because basically Toysis is saying that women are playing the harlot, and therefore if they have bia, for sure they're playing the harlot, or that women can change, and that it could be that women then aren't that way inclined, and therefore most women are going to be in a case of onus, or you have an onus has to have a call. Could it be that women are raped without a call? You can have a lot of me too stuff, which is kind of saying that all this stuff happened and I never said anything. So that their taina anyway is that there was onus without a call. And now I'm making a call 10 years later, 15 years later. That's what they're saying. So you could have Toys is saying that the onus with a call, and therefore Ratson is a miut, since we don't have a call. But it could be now that other onus is the women are choosing not to make a call. But it's still, and again, the boundaries of onus have changed. And it's a lot, they have, if you get someone drunk, that's called oines. That's not necessarily technically because the Gemara, because the basin is going to have to poskin, because it's an afkamina between an oines and a pitoi. For example, is the oines isn't allowed to divorce her, so and the oines pays more kanasot. So the basin is going to have to poskin. There has to be a halachic line between pitoi and oines, and the basin is going to have to poskin. If you give a roofie to a woman, or if you ply her with drink and get her drunk, is that called pitoi rotzen? But there was, so since you have this roiv, this ain't a roiv gomor, because it's not a teva and a chov. Okay, that's how we'll use the Shev Shmaisa in order to answer up what that means. Ela having the Rabbanan, as we saw, so therefore we'll just use it once. If it was svek, it's enough to Mokum Hatzveke Chashivi Rabbanan Rotzun Lagabi Onis Ruba Ashkachan Kihai Gavna Gabi Tinok Shenimsa Betzada Isa. So the Tinok is by the Isa is by the dough, and did he touch it? If he touches it, then it's Tame. To lo havi Ruba Ela Midir Rabbanan Roiv Roiv of the time, so the kid has Isa in his hand. Roiv Isas that he takes, so someone could have given it to him from outside, or maybe he took it from the Isa that's there. If he took it from the Isa that's there, then the Isa is Tameh. Or maybe someone gave it to him. But that's a Ruva el Rabbanan, and Lahachi Kama Rabbi Yochanan Hatam de Ein Sorifan Alav Esat Truma. So you don't burn the Truma on it, because burning the Truma is also Deraisa. Oh, you can only burn Vadai Tameh Truma. So therefore, since it's only a Roiv, the Rabbanan, you're not going to go Deraisa on it. The Im Tema, Akati, Be'eshis Kohen. So both cases, I'm a Kibbutz Aviyah Kadosh Pakas Mibash Shalosh Israel Ikas Svek Sveka. There's still a Svek Sveka. The Safek Milchach Eight Safek Drusas Ish. Be'eshis Kohen Islan Lameimar Imtim Silomer De'ena Milchach Eight Mikum Makam Safek Tachtav Safek Ein Tachtav. Now, is that a Svek Sveka Mehapechet? If you want to say that she's a Mukad Eitz, so then therefore she's mutter. So so was the no, so if she's not a Mukad Eitz, so therefore you'll say that it's if you want to say that it was Bia, and if you want to say that it was Mukad Eitz, if it's Mukad Eitz, she's mutter. To a Kohen, and if it was an act, maybe it was before they got married or after they got married, and then flip it. If it was after they got married. If it's before they got married, she's mutter. If it's after they got married, then what? Did she have bia after they got married? Then there's no such thing. There's no muka eitz there. So you have this Safek Tachtav, Safek Ein Tachtav. Yeah, so then that has to be a case of Bia, so therefore it's not Mehapechet. So what do you do here if you hold the Tosis? If you hold again, not like Rabbi Kiveger, you hold the Tosis holding it on Mehapechet. So some Meforshim say that this Tosis isn't holding Mehapech, which again is difficult if you're one who holds that this Tosis is holding Mehapech. Again, you can invoke our teretz we had before. That really there's one way to go here. You really have to start off with tzavik tachtav or ein tachtav. Sorry, you have to first establish if there's a bia there or not. Is there a bia or is it muka eitz? Once you've established there's a bia, then you can say if the bia is tachtav or not. But to say tachtav not tachtav doesn't. It's not. So you could learn that in a Tosis here, that Tosis only learns the mechapechet, where it's open to go both ways. There's not one obvious way to go. Eishes Yisrael for a non-Kohen intensive in the Muka'eit Savik in the Savik Rotz. Again, you have no Rotzon in the Muka'eit. How can you have Rotzon in Muka'eit? If it's Rotzon, you say it's Muka'eit. What the hell are you talking about? So again, then you just say, you have to say whether there's a bia first. Ve'ein loimer demuchach eitz lo shchiach. Don't say that's not shchiach. That's why we can't have it as a sveka. Again, we had stadin on svekas of how much you need to in order to have be sveka before. Tamrin and beilu nairus gabi suma te'ein lo tanis besulin mipnei shenifcha al gabi karka. So that a blind girl doesn't have a tanis besulin because she falls on the floor because no one's she can't see. Uparech kulahu nami everybody, all babies fall on the floor. So therefore we say that the idea muka'etz, or losing your besulim, is a common thing. Therefore we see that since the kulan, all female babies do it. The Purish Rach, the muka'etz petach soto mati shapir. So according to Rach, which we said before in the first Tosfos, that when a woman is mukad eitz, there's still the Pesach is still sosum, and therefore you still have so the Pesach is sosum, and therefore you still have a time of Pesach Pesuach. So therefore there's no sveka here, because the fact that it is a Pesach Pesuach means it wasn't mukad eitz. It's only correct according to the Rach, but Tosfos argued on him in there. Yishloimer de imisa de mulchach eitz. If you want to say that it's mulchach eitz, have a toyenes. She would have said so. the ein genai bekach. Since it's not like she's getting into trouble by saying, oh well, I had relations, but it was before I got married, or it was ba'oines. There's no genai in having mukah. Did you say if I fell off, I was as a child, kamo bias oines. I don't know, like a bias oines is so non-genai, but whatever. Umidelo tainus ein lehespek bekach. And this lehistapech. So since she never tined, that it's that she is a mukha eitz, therefore there's no reason to be suffect that happened. And that's Taisvis.